you saw the title, you saw the thumbnail. Should the Heat trade for Anthony Davis? It's a very unlikely scenario, but after watching Bam Adeabayo and AD team up on Team USA during the Olympics, I think this is something that maybe the Heat should consider because these two have been a dynamic duo on the court. And you see this photo right here. Bam on the ground after an and-1. AD and Anthony Edwards fired up for young Adebayo. Could those be teammates in the future? I don't know. I'm just speculating. But the reason why I did want to talk about this because this duo has been absolutely incredible during the Olympics. They've been terrorizing other countries defensively, offensively, and we've really seen the idea of pairing Bam up with another big man really come to fruition. It's been speculated by Heat fans that they needed more size alongside Adebayo because Bam's only 6'9", and the fact that he's already been the third best center in the NBA with him being a little undersized for his position is already impressive. And the Heat already run small ball, but if they ran a big lineup and had two big men that are versatile on the defensive end and as well as the offensive end, well, maybe they can really start to wreak havoc in the NBA, and maybe Anthony Davis is that guy. We're going to talk more about that in just a second, but make sure you are subscribed to the channel because we're bringing you daily Heat content no matter what it is. Rumors, news, possibilities. Is this a rumor? Not really, but I just want to talk about the idea of adding someone like Anthony Davis because the same could be said about Lauri Markkanen as well. Same type of build, just Markkanen's a better offensive player than Anthony Davis, but AD is a much better defender. Make sure you are subscribed. Let's get into Anthony Davis now because he is one of the best big men in the NBA. Now, it's actually a good question to ask if Bam or AD is the better basketball player. Bam is definitely more reliable. You see it on screen there. Anthony Davis has simply not been able to stay healthy for the majority of his career, even dating back to the days that he was a New Orleans Pelican, only playing more than 60 games once of the last 4 years. Now, he did do it last year, playing in 76 games. Really good season for AD, where he averaged 25, 12, 2.5 blocks, and shot above 50% from the field. There's no denying that Anthony Davis is one of the best two-way big men inside and is among probably the top 5 defenders in the entire NBA as well. I would classify both Anthony Davis and Bam as the best two-way big men in the NBA. That's really how I feel because they can switch on the perimeter, they can protect the paint inside, and they aren't getting hunted like some other fake depoys out there. Rudy Gobert is going to be in the playoffs. And you saw it too, though. The question is Anthony Davis able to space the floor alongside Bam Adebayo in the NBA? It's worked in FIBA so far because they have 3 other All-NBA caliber guards on that team, whether it be a combination of Curry, Anthony Edwards, Devin Booker, Halliburton. It doesn't matter. Like, you have elite NBA players. But would it work in the NBA when those other guys surrounding you aren't the top 15 players in the world? I'm not so sure, and that's probably the biggest question. And Anthony Davis is not the three-point shooter that he once was. He was once a consistent 34, 35% three-point shooter in New Orleans, and that's when he was at the top of his game. No doubt a first-team All-NBA guy and one of the best players in the entire association where he was getting top 5, top 7 talks in the NBA. He just isn't that anymore. You saw it on screen. He's a career 29% three-point shooter. That's not so good. But good news is Bam Adebayo continues to improve his offensive game. And we've seen him develop more of a consistent 15-foot, 18-foot jumper, but also expand his range to the three-point mark. Adebayo shot 34% in the final 20-25 games last season for the Heat. He's been shooting the three ball for Team USA and knocking them down at a solid rate, which only makes us Heat fans very excited about the evolution and continued growth for Adebayo. But the reason why they would be such a dynamic pairing isn't because of the offense. Sure, they both will give you 20 a night. It's the defense. We talked about Anthony Davis and Bam both being top 5 defenders in the NBA. The switchability that those two have would just wreak havoc. Any one of them could guard a center. Any one of them could guard a 1. We've seen them wreak havoc, get into passing lanes, reject some shots inside for the Team USA so far. And to me, it's no surprise that when Anthony Davis and Bam are sharing the floor together and are both on the floor for Team USA, that's when that team really takes that next step. We've seen countless times so far that Team USA gets off to a little bit of a slow start because they're still starting that fraud Joel Embiid. And then when Anthony Davis and Bam both check in together at the middle point or the tail end of the first quarter, Team USA really starts to take form. These two are a dominant defensive pair. They're still good offensively, and it would be scary. Legitimately, teams would be terrified to go inside against Bam and Anthony Davis. More to talk on the potential pair in just a second, but we are sponsored by Game Time, the #1 ticketing app in the market. And if you want to go to a baseball game, a concert, football game in the fall, or when Heat basketball returns as well in the winter, Game Time is the only place you have to go to get your tickets. They've got the best deals for you. You can see your vantage point, whether it be in the arena, like you see on that right picture there, but then you see these pictures here where you actually see your seat exactly where you're sitting. You also get zone deals and flash deals, all-in pricing as well, which means you're not going to get shocked when you go to checkout and hit by fees. No, you know how exact the price is going to be when you're searching the tickets. They also have the guaranteed lowest price possible. It is the best part about Game Time, in my opinion. You're going to get the best bang for your buck. You're not going to be thrown for a loop when you get to your seats. It's happened to me in the past. It has. It's been a disaster. You show up to the stadium, you think you got good seats, and all of a sudden you don't. That doesn't happen with Game Time. You know exactly where you're going to sit. I used them when I went to go see the Heat come play in Dallas back in February. I used them to go to a concert a couple of weeks ago as well. I use them whenever I go get tickets. And we got a perfect deal for you and all the Heat fans out there. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but again, create an account, redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, let's talk about Anthony Davis more in depth here, and let's look at a shot chart from last season. This is the shot chart in the 2023-24 season. We've often looked at this in the past and used career shot charts, but I wanted to use last year because Anthony Davis doesn't really expand his range out to the three-point arc as much as he once did as a Pelican, like I mentioned. What's the thing that you're going to see here? He's dominant at 8 feet for the basket and in. The three-point numbers, we know, dark blue good, light blue bad. Well, there's not a lot of blue on the perimeter, and even if there is blue, it's kind of light blue. So he struggled with his shot, but he really works in the mid-range and works in the posted area. And it's something that I'd actually like to see Bam get better at as well, if we're going to be honest, and expand that conversation to him. Adebayo's been excellent at the face-up game. Jab step, one dribble, pull-up, jumper, use his quickness and athleticism to beat his defenders in the mid-post, but he doesn't really have that good of a back-to-the-basket game. Anthony Davis does. He's one of the best scorers in the NBA from the free throw line to the basket, so around that 15, 18 feet mark, as well as inside the painted area. And one thing Miami struggled with a lot last year, even with Adebayo, is finishing at the rim. They had one of the worst finishing rates at the rim in the entire NBA. You could thank Tyler Hero and Terry Rozier for bringing that number down a little bit because those two were horrific at finishing around the rim. But Anthony Davis and Bam, if they were paired up together, sure, would the spacing get clunky at times? Yes, but they would put pressure on the opposing defenses at the rim, which is often important in the NBA because when you put a lot of pressure on the rim, it collapses the defense, which allows you to kick it out for open three-point shooters. So there is benefits to it, and the Heat would obviously become a way better offensive rebounding team with those two crashing the glass so consistently. And then even if you say get a Bam or Anthony Davis in the mid-post, they do their little ISO game, get to the mid-range, and if they send a double, drop off to the other on the dunker spot or put up a little mid-range shot, either drain it or guess what, the other one's there for an offensive rebound. It would be tons of fun, and obviously Bam's continuing to get better from beyond the arc as well. We're going to talk about what the trade would potentially look like and even if it's possible for the Miami Heat to pull off this season. But let me know your thoughts down below. We looked at stats. We looked at shot chart, talked about defense. Would you trade for Lakers forward Anthony Davis? Get down in the comment section. Give me your thoughts down below. Type Y for yes or type N for no. Let me know. I'm always looking for your feedback. All right, let me get this out in the open when it comes to Anthony Davis. The Lakers are not going to trade him before the season begins. So if you had any inclination of watching this video, I was like, hey, let's trade for Anthony Davis in August or September, get him in here for training camp in October, and start the season with Jimmy, AD, and Bam. Yeah, that's probably not going to happen, because why would that be the case for the Lakers and Anthony Davis? They're clearly going to want to contend this year, even though their window might be coming to a close. But the question is could there be a collapse and disaster for the Lakers this upcoming season? Well, I want to bring you this little note that we've shared in the past with Barry Jackson. We've shown this tweet before, but I want to read it off again. As we've told you, gals and guys, this past month, the Heat view February 6th as the latest point by which they would like to improve the team via trade. If it happens sooner, like August and September, great. But if it goes to the trade deadline, they're okay with that too. Let's see what star gets disgruntled at the trade deadline. And that last couple sentences is important. They're fine taking it to the trade deadline, and that's where an Anthony Davis trade would have to happen if they have any possible thought of getting AD to South Beach. Because the only way the Lakers are trading Anthony Davis is if disaster absolutely strikes in the City of Stars this upcoming year. So what would that look like to make the GM of the Lakers, Rob Pelinka, potentially consider an Anthony Davis trade? Well, one, as much as it would suck to say out loud, and listen, I'm going to say this right now, I hope it does not happen. I never root for injury. It's never going to happen. But LeBron James, if he were to suffer a catastrophe, get a serious injury where he misses the year, and that happens in the first couple weeks, month of the season, then the Lakers are going to be a very bad basketball team. They're already likely a play-in team at best, and if LeBron goes down, they're likely not even a playoff team. So if LeBron were to get hurt, and this team is like 10 games under 500 by the time late January rolls around, well, maybe Rob Pelinka sits here and says, listen, LeBron's 40 years old, he just suffered a serious injury, we might as well build for the future. And maybe that's where the Heat say, well, are you taking calls on Anthony Davis? And Rob Pelinka goes, you know what, we actually are. So this is what a trade could possibly look like if you are the Miami Heat. You get Anthony Davis and our old pal Gabe Vincent. The Lakers are going to ask for a king's ransom, as they should, because Anthony Davis is that type of player. And the Heat would send Jaquez, Jovic, Hero, Duncan Robinson, and a first-round pick to get point guard back, to be your lead guy off the bench, as well as Anthony Davis to fit in that front court next to Bam and Jimmy. Now, I will say this with the trade. This trade technically doesn't work. It's because the Anthony Davis recent signing as well, and because of the Lakers' issue of being in the first apron and the Heat's issue of being first apron. Like, that exact trade I showed does not technically work financially. It is very close to working, but it does not work if it was just a straight-up team-for-team trade. But that would be what the potential framework would be, right? Where the Heat trade a couple of their young guys, Jaquez and Jovic, to Los Angeles. Maybe there's other moving parts. A third or fourth team gets involved at the deadline. But my whole point of saying this is that I would not get your hopes up. As much as I talked very highly of Anthony Davis and what a duo would look like between him and Bam and how good it would be and how scary it would be for the rest of the NBA, and it would put Miami in such an advantageous spot to win the Eastern Conference and win the title once again. I don't want you to get your hopes up. An Anthony Davis trade happening with the Miami Heat this year has a better chance of, or has the same chances, I guess, of me dating Dua Lipa, which, by the way, absolutely devastating that she's got a boyfriend again, is what it is. But Cameron Brink, too. I mean, bad summer for us boys out here. But either way, yeah, don't get your hopes up on an Anthony Davis trade. All right, that's going to do it for today's video. Make sure you follow me over on Twitter. At Nic_Rohloff is my handle. We're talking Heat hoops on a daily basis. If you have any questions, you want to continue the conversation, feel free to do it over on my Twitter. I'll see you with another video tomorrow. Go Heat.